It's a sad day in the NASCAR world. We found out overnight Robert Yates had passed away after a long bout with cancer. A legendary car owner, engine builder, and inductee into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Robert Yates was 74 years old. Welcome into this special edition of NASCAR Race Hub. With Shannon Spake, I'm Adam Alexander. Drew Blickensderfer is here with us, Brad Keselowski, and Larry McReynolds, who worked with Robert Yates for 6 years. Safe to say, Larry, today we lost a real good one.
Oh my gosh, Adam. And you know, he impacted my career and actually impacted my life in so many positive ways. And you know, Robert Yates touched so many people's careers and touched so many people's lives and always impacted in a positive way. And I admired so many things about working for Robert Yates and about Robert Yates, but probably the biggest thing is he was just one of the guys. He would never ask anybody to go anywhere, to do anything, to be anywhere that he wouldn't do himself. I saw times where there were not enough seats on the airplane. Flying with Davey Allison, Robert would get in the van and drive because he said, you know what, I want my guys back home Sunday night to see their families.
Such an amazing man. And NASCAR CEO and Chairman Brian France had this statement today. Robert Yates excelled in multiple NASCAR disciplines, earning the respect of an entire industry and an everlasting place in the hearts and minds of the NASCAR fan base. His excellence spanned decades, from the 1983 championship powered by his engines and the 1999 title captured by the cars he owned, both of which helped earn him a deserved spot in the NASCAR Hall of Fame class of 2018. And though he was a master at his craft, it was Robert's passion and character that endeared him to every single person he encountered and will ensure that his memory will live on for generations. On behalf of my family and all of NASCAR, I extend heartfelt condolences to the family and friends of a NASCAR giant whose legacy will impact an entire industry forever. Certainly every single person in NASCAR ever had their foot in that garage has a story or was impacted by Robert Yates in some way. For you, Brad, what was that way?
Well, I think, to piggyback off of Brian France's statement, which was so well done, Mr. Robert Yates was the type of person I think of as a great professional. You know, he went out and he won championships at the highest level as both an engine builder and a car owner. That is a huge feat, and the workload and the stress and everything that goes with that to conquer that mountain is tremendous. But beyond that, he was successful as a person. You know, everybody that worked for him had great things to say about him, and he was so welcoming. He embraced his team, Larry, and the people that worked for it in ways to where you just can't find somebody who's got a bad story about Robert Yates. And for me, I remember when I moved to North Carolina in 2007, some 10 years ago, he was one of the first people that welcomed me into the area and kind of showed me the ropes of what it means to be a part of NASCAR. So he was someone that's very special to me as well.
What about you, Drew?
You know, I'm lucky enough to work at the building where Robert Yates Racing was housed last. And there's a lot of employees that still work there today that work for Robert. And, you know, you like the stories that people say about how Robert, he'd never want you to back into his parking spot. Like, that was one of the first interview questions he would ask you. Why are you so worried about going home early? You know, let's get our business done. And at the racetrack, well, don't back in. You plan on being in teardown afterwards or in victory lane. So you weren't worried about going home. So those stories are neat. And you don't hear bad things like Brad said. You know, you have to be driven in this sport. And to be driven and still make a whole bunch of friends and do it the right way like Robert did, that's a model for all of us to look up to.
Those are great stories. We thank each of you for sharing. And now a look back at the life of Robert Yates. Here's Mike Joy.
Well, I used to say that on my tombstone would be, he was fair. And I never really thought about it. And then I was like, wait a minute, fair? I want to be excellent.
So who had the fastest car in high school? The preacher's son. Robert Yates, from an early age, had a need for speed. Right out of high school, he was hired at Holman Moody to sweep floors. He soon traded his push broom for a torque wrench and started making power and history. With Hall of Fame drivers Waltrip, Allison, and Yarborough, he scored over 30 victories and a championship for Allison. He powered the king, Richard Petty, to career victories number 199 and 200. Then in 1988, at the urging of his young driver, Yates mortgaged everything he owned to purchase struggling Rainier Lundy Racing. Robert Yates Racing, with wheelman Davey Allison, soon found success on NASCAR's fastest track.
Davey Allison wins the Winston 500 with Terry Labonte second. Robert Yates has won this race as a car owner.
They became championship contenders, won the Daytona 500 among a total of 15 races. Then Yates Racing expanded to a two-car team with Ernie Irvan and Dale Jarrett. Jarrett and Yates won 29 Cup races, including 2 Daytona 500s and 2 Brickyard 400s. In 1999, they won 4 races and scored NASCAR's crown jewel.
And Dale Jarrett has won the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship for 1999. A look of relief from the well-respected team owner Robert Yates.
After 57 wins as an owner, Robert turned the keys over to his son Doug, eventually becoming Roush Yates Racing Engines, which today powers the Ford teams in NASCAR. In May of 2017, Robert Yates received NASCAR's ultimate achievement.
The 2018 class for the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Our first name, Robert Yates.
My life has been trying to shorten it. I get here while I'm alive. Just happy I'm here.
From his start with a push broom to the pinnacle of the sport, Robert was a horsepower innovator and history-making car owner. Robert Yates was 74.